Good morning, everyone. All right, looking for today's talk. I don't know if these would be considered sermons or whatever, but anyway, I have been looking forward to this part. Okay, because now we come to the life of Jesus. Okay, and again, we look at what God has done. Okay, and what God created. Okay, to where we start in Eden. Okay, and he created a place where the presence of God, okay, would be intermingled with people. Okay, and then the idea was it to flow, okay, out of Eden. And so, but humans sinned against God. And so, because of that sin, because of the separation, okay, that took place, all right, they could no longer dwell in God's presence there. So now we look at God creating specific places to where God's presence was in Bethel, at the burning bush, at uh, Mount Sinai, at all of these places to where God showed up and he communed with those people, with humans, and then where God would dwell. That years to where even though Israel sinned against God and rebelled, and so then once the tabernacle, and then we have the promised land, and now we have the temple, the very first one, that Solomon's presentation of God dwells among us, and that's where he's going to put his name. Destroyed, but yet God still dwelt, okay, among the Israelites. He still dwelt, okay, with the ones that were calling him by name. And the reason, and again, the whole goal of God dwelling among us is not that we alone get blessed. It's not that we alone receive the benefits, the glory, the whatever. No, 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 no. It was always, always, always intended to spread out to others. When we hit Light to the Nations here after Easter, okay, we'll be looking at how many times God called the nation of Israel, and now, okay, he's still calling the nation of Israel. He's still calling us. He's still calling people, okay, to where now take my light, okay, take my goodness and spread it to others. Take my presence, what you get from my presence, and I want you to take it to other people. And that was the goal. That was the intent. It didn't have to be a tabernacle. It didn't have to be Bethel. It didn't have to be the temple. Okay, people made it that. We even see it, and we'll look at it today when Jesus talks to the woman at the well. Okay, there were even those that were saying, hey, there's a temple in, that's not a real temple, and you're really not talking to God. And Jesus says, oh no, you just wait a second. So God shows over and over how he's going to dwell among us. Okay, and now we get to where God dwells among us in human form, the Word made flesh, the Word of God given to us in Jesus Christ. And so we're going to start with John 1:1, in the beginning. Okay, John is writing as a Jew, okay, to the Christians of that day. And so he incorporates the very first part of Genesis into the very first part of John, to where in the beginning, to where at the very start, all right, in the beginning was the Word. Okay, and again, one of the things that we miss when things are translated from another language to ours, we can miss out on either the cultural meaning, we can miss out on the historical meaning, we can miss out on all of those things if we don't take into account who the audience was and who it was written to. So we have a reference to, okay, Genesis, in the beginning was the Word, and that word, all right, is has multiple meanings, but I think the best way that I heard it that makes the most sense is that that word could also be the definition, the meaning, the actual word is logos, okay, the logic by which we use and understand and live by. Okay, so in a sense, I liked how one person put it, the definition of life. So in the beginning was the definition of life. And the definition, okay, the meaning, the purpose was with God, okay, to where Jesus was part of creation and the Word was God. So that Christ has always existed. Now, here's the cool part. Later on in John 1 in verse 14, all right, and it says this, and I'm just floored by this. And again, we can miss it if we just kind of gloss over it a little bit. All right. And so it talks about, and the Word was made flesh. Okay. So the very definition of life from verse 1 to verse 14, okay, still using that word there. The very definition was wrapped in human form. All right. And here's the next part, and dwelt among us. Now, here's the really cool part. I love this word. The literal meaning of that word dwelt is tabernacle. Okay. So, in a sense, God tabernacled among us. The very presence of God. Okay. And remember what the tabernacle was? It traveled around. Okay. It represented, okay, the name of God. It represented the presence of God. It did all of these things. Okay. And so now, oh, Jesus tabernacled among us, or Jesus tabernacled with us. So the very presence of God that was with the tabernacle is the very presence of God who's in Jesus Christ. Who? And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. And we beheld the glory. Okay? To where we looked at it, of the only one from the Father, full of grace and full of truth. So when Jesus came and dwelt among us, he tabernacled, he lived among the people. And again, why? Okay, so he could just bless the people that he went around? No. What did he have? He had 12 disciples, which was a very key, important number, okay, for the Jews back then. But it's also a very key, important number, okay, to where when there were 12, okay, to where there's 12 tribes of Israel, Jesus was bringing 12 people among him. And then with those 12, the glory and the presence of God dwelt among Jesus. And then Jesus took it and spread it to those 12. And then those 12 took what they had and spread it throughout the earth. Now, it's a continuation of what God was doing, to where God's goal with us has always been to dwell, to be in the midst of, with us. Why? Why would God want to do that? Has God not seen some of the people that are here? Has God not seen some of the people that, why would he want to dwell with me? Why would he want to dwell with you? There would have to be an insane, deep love that drew him to us. And when I say an insane, deep love, in my Sunday school class today, we talked about the prodigal son. And the prodigal walked away from the father. And there's multiple meanings, okay, that this parable can have. But the one thing I want to focus on is when the son comes back to the father. He comes back humbly. Okay, he left arrogantly. He walks back humbly. And he has a speech prepared saying, Dad, I don't deserve your love. I'm just wondering if you can bring me on as a hired hand. And before the father can say, oh, that's nonsense, or before the father says, look at what you've done and you're wanting to come back. No, what does the father do? Get the robe, get the ring, get the fatted calf. For my son who was once dead is now alive. The son, during this time, whenever you had a child that did what the son was doing, okay, and that type of rebellion and attitude, they would actually have a funeral for that child, to where the parents would mourn the loss of that child. So when the son comes back and he's in that humble state, the dad is saying, I mourned your loss, but I'm just so thankful you're back. I think that's the type of love, unconditional, that God has for us. And I think we miss out on that, because if we understood what God was intending to do through the love that he has for us, through this unconditional, powerful love, God was wanting to do that and give it to us and say, this is what I want for you. I want you to feel my presence because I love you so much. Now, I want other people to experience the same thing, but I need you to spread it around so that they can experience it. Now, the last part, Jesus goes to the woman at the well in Samaria. Samaritans were considered to be half Jewish or partly Jewish, okay, because at one point Assyria, when it came and conquered the northern tribe of Israel, okay, and completely decimated that area, and then brought people from Assyria into Israel, okay, they married, and so the Jews considered themselves superior to the Samaritans because of bloodlines. But the Jews, okay, still erected a temple, okay, still erected everything that Jerusalem had. But the Jewish people in Judah and the Jewish people in Jerusalem, they were saying, "Oh no, that's not where God lives. God lives here at this temple." And so when you go and pray, it's for nothing. So when Jesus is talking to the woman at Samaria and she comes to him, okay, and Jesus tells everything about her life, okay, and she, and in the conversation, she says, "Are you the Messiah, the anointed one?" That's what Messiah means, anointed one. Are you the one that God has been talking about this whole time? Are you the one that we've been looking for? Because we've been told that where we worship, okay, isn't the real thing. And so what Jesus says is that there's coming a time where those worshiping here, okay, in Samaria, those worshiping in Jerusalem, okay, they won't be worshiping at those places anymore. Because God is now going to dwell, okay, through us. And as much as we love our churches, okay, and as important as they are just a place where we go and gather to meet with other believers, to meet with other friends, to meet with other co-laborers in Jesus Christ. We just get together so that, you know what, we can encourage one another. So that as we're walking around, okay, we are the representation of God into our communities. And we're going to look at that next week. So I hope today was good for you, because again, it's one of my favorite concepts of who Jesus is, to where Jesus is the very place and presence of God to us. And oh, do we have a responsibility to ensure that that goes out to others. Let's pray. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord turn his face to you and give you peace. Take care, my friends.